So today I will be talking regarding the maxillary artery third part. First and second part of the maxillary artery already covered in the earlier lecture. Talking over the topic on the following heading: overview of pterygopalatine fossa, overview of first and second part of maxillary artery third part, under course, relation, branches, foramina transmitting, distribution, and clinical anatomy. Let me remind you the bony landmarks which are important for the topic. First, we see this infraorbital fissure. See, this is an infraorbital fissure, and when you trace this infraorbital fissure on its posterior aspect, here you will see the apex of the infraorbital fissure. Then this is the greater wing of sphenoid. This is the greater wing of sphenoid. This all is a greater wing of sphenoid. This arrow which has been marked here, this is the foramen of spinosum, whereas this one just anterior to this is foramen of ovale. This is sphenoid bone, and here this is lesser wing and this one is the greater wing of sphenoid. And two canals that I want to show you here, which is important for the topic and very difficult to find in an easy way in the textbook. See, this is a pterygoid canal. First I want to show you, this is the, see, this one is the foramen of rotundum. Clear? This is what? Foramen of rotundum, and this one is the pterygoid canal. And just medial to this pterygoid canal, anteromedial to this, here we see this is a pharyngeal canal. So this pharyngeal canal, it communicates with the pterygopalatine fossa to the nasopharynx. So again, let me just see the pointer of my mouse here, where I am focusing. This is the pharyngeal canal. Then pterygoid process. See that this is the pterygoid process of the sphenoid bone. See, this is the sphenoid bone. This is the greater wing of sphenoid here, and this is the process. So this is the pterygoid process of the sphenoid, and here pterygomaxillary fissure. Clear? This is pterygomaxillary fissure. One thing more I want to show you. Get familiar with the infraorbital. See, let me get the pointer and another. Let me move. See, now infratemporal fossa. Clear? Now see, infratemporal fossa is here and here, and this infratemporal fossa form the base, a part of the base of the skull. Clear? So even here it's all the infraorbital. This is infratemporal fossa. This all is the infratemporal fossa. Now we will see other important bony landmark. Now you are familiar with the pterygoid process of the sphenoid. Then pterygomaxillary fissure. See, already I have explained you, fissure means it's a slit. It's a slit opening. So here you can see this is the pterygomaxillary fissure, and here is the sphenopalatine foramen. Let me, so it's somewhere here, it is somewhere here, is the sphenopalatine foramen. So this foramen is communicating to the, from this pterygopalatine fossa to the nasal cavity. Clear? Sphenopalatine foramen. Now we will see some other bony landmark. One, this one is an maxillary alveolar canal. So you can see maxillary alveolar canal. See, this is the maxillary alveolar canal. You can see this is the maxillary alveolar canal, and greater palatine canal is here. See, this is the hard palate and here is the soft palate. So here at this point, just deeper to this area is the greater palatine canal, and it has got on two opening for the exit of the artery. One is greater palatine artery from here. This foramen is greater palatine foramen, and for lesser palatine artery is here. Clear? Now we will see some other bony landmark. So this one is an important one to understand. Horizontal and vertical plate of palatine bone. So this is the, see, this is the, let me take the drawing pen and see, this is the horizontal plate. Clear? This is the horizontal plate of palatine bone, and this one, this is the vertical, this is the vertical plate of palatine bone. Clear? Now you have seen all the bony landmark. Now we are going to begin the topic, pterygopalatine fossa. Let's try to understand the pterygopalatine fossa. Pterygopalatine fossa is the, as you are aware of the word the fossa, fossa means it's a depression. It's a depression in that particular part of the bone in which contains some important structure. So this fossa is pyramidal in shape. First thing, it's a pyramidal in shape. Second thing, it is present in the deeper aspect of infratemporal fossa, and you already just now I've shown you the infratemporal fossa. So you can say, like, you have seen the infraorbital fissure also. Clear? So here is, this is the pterygomaxillary fissure. So the pterygopalatine fossa is the deeper aspect, the deeper part of pterygomaxillary fissure. So here, this is the pterygomaxillary fissure. It will be in the deeper of this pterygomaxillary fissure. This is one of the way you can, your second way of approach to the pterygopalatine fossa can be, see, this is an orbit. I've shown you, just now I've shown you the infraorbital fissure. So I've shown you the apex of the infraorbital fissure. So this pterygopalatine fossa is present just below to the apex of infraorbital fissure. Clear? Now see other view of this pterygopalatine fossa. See here, see this is the pterygopalatine fossa. This is the pterygopalatine fossa. All clear? Pterygopalatine fossa. Pterygopalatine fossa. Here also you can see pterygopalatine fossa. Clear? Now we will talk about the boundaries of the pterygopalatine fossa. First, get familiar with the bone which are here making the boundary of the pterygopalatine fossa. This surface is the posterior surface of the maxilla. This is the sphenoid bone. This is the sphenoid bone, and here is the palatine bone. Clear? Now, the boundaries of the pterygopalatine fossa, if it comes in the short notes in your examination in the professional, then what you have to write for the pterygopalatine fossa's boundary? See the roof. This deep region is for the pterygopalatine fossa. So its roof, so this is the roof. So this roof is formed by the greater wing of sphenoid, and anteriorly is the maxilla, whereas this posterolaterally, this is the lateral aspect and this is the posterior aspect. So posterolaterally is by the pterygoid process of sphenoid. Medially, see, this view is a lateral view, and the medial view, when you take the medial view, so see in this image, medially is here. This is the medially by the vertical plate of palatine bone. Clear? Medially by the vertical plate of palatine bone. And this floor is formed by the horizontal plate of palatine bone. See here, this horizontal plate of palatine bone. This is the horizontal plate of palatine bone. So this about the boundary of the pterygopalatine fossa. It's very important for exam. Now the contents of this pterygopalatine fossa are, see, this pterygopalatine fossa is the, you can say it's a crossroad. It's a crossroad for neurovascular structure. So in this neurovascular structures are what? First, we say this second division of trigeminal nerve. So maxillary nerve is here. Maxillary nerve and its branches. Then third division of maxillary artery. And here, see the pointer at this point is the pterygopalatine ganglion. So these are the contents. Clear? Now we will talk about the maxillary artery. Clear? See here, you can see the heart is pumping, and from this left ventricle the blood is coming out through this arch of aorta, and this arch of aorta is here on the right side, and this is of the left side. So here on the left side, giving a branch, left subclavian, and this one is left common carotid. Then the branches is external carotid and internal carotid, and on the right side here, this is brachiocephalic. See the branch here. Now then giving this right subclavian, and then right common carotid. This right common carotid further branch here as internal carotid, and this is external carotid. Clear? So now you can see this is an external carotid. So this external carotid further it is continuing ahead, and this external carotid artery here at the, see at this point on the posterior aspect, on the posterior of the ramus of the mandible, you can see it, this external carotid artery is giving a branch. So this branch is the maxillary artery, and the maxillary artery is the larger terminal branch of external carotid artery. Now we can see here, this is the maxillary artery, and we study the maxillary artery in three parts. First part, second part, and third part. Before I trace this maxillary artery ahead, let's see these two important muscles. This is lateral pterygoid, and this lateral pterygoid, it has got two heads. This is an upper hand and this is the lower head. And the lower head, here it has got this border, which is a lower border, and here is the upper border. And this is the point of the union of or meeting point of upper and lower pterygoid here. So this is the two head of lateral pterygoid. Now the first part of maxillary artery, this is the first part of maxillary artery, and the first part of maxillary artery is known as mandibular branch. This is the mandibular. Why we say mandibular? Because it is related to mandible. Now second part of the maxillary artery is known as pterygoid. Pterygoid part. Why it is pterygoid? Because it is related to this pterygoid muscle. Clear? And the third part is known as, third part of maxillary artery is known as pterygopalatine. This third part is related to the pterygopalatine fossa. So as accordingly the name is given. So the first part, it ends at the lower border of, see the first part end at the limit of the first part is to the lower border of, and the second part begin where the first part end. So it begins from the lower border of lower head, and it runs superficially over this lateral pterygoid's lower head, and we can see till the point is here where the upper head and the lower head meet. This is a junction. So this is the limit of the second part. Now at this point where this is the limit of second part. Now after this, third part begins and run here in the pterygopalatine fossa. So when we trace this maxillary artery, we see this maxillary artery runs in a direction forward and upward. You can see it is running forward and upward and giving many branches. So we can see the branches here. So in the first part there are total 5 branches, whereas in this second part or middle part there are total 4 branches, and these are muscular branches. They do not have to pass from any foramina. They simply have to supply the muscles of mastication, so they are muscular part. Whereas this is the third part. Now third part have to pass from multiple foramina. Now we will see this maxillary artery further in detail. We can see, let me get the next one. Now here we can see the maxillary artery. We can see this maxillary artery is passing this way. Direction is upward and forward, like this way. It passing from the medial surface, from the medial aspect of the medial surface of this ramus of the mandible, and laterally it is covered by the parotid gland. So as this first part of maxillary artery begin, it gives its first branch. This first branch is deep auricular artery. As its name indicates, it's auricular artery, so it's related somewhat with ear. So this deep auricular artery, the first branch, it passes from the foramen in the floor of external acoustic meatus. This is the first branch. See, this is the first branch. Now as it travels, this first branch, it supplies to the skin of external acoustic meatus and outer surface of tympanic membrane. Next branch is anterior tympanic artery. See, this is an anterior tympanic artery. It passes from the pterygotympanic fissure and supply inner surface of tympanic membrane. Clear? Now further, as this artery passes here, just inferior, can say below to the middle cranial fossa, we see it gives a branch. This one is known as middle meningeal artery, and this artery ascends superiorly ahead up and passes from a foramen which is known as foramen of spinosum. This foramen of spinosum, and enter in the middle cranial fossa and supply to the meninges and also to the bone. So it supplies more to the bone. Now next, further, as it is moving ahead, it gives another branch which is known as accessory middle meningeal artery. Now this branch further, it moves superiorly and enters through the foramen of ovale. I've shown you the foramen of spinosum and foramen of ovale just beginning of this lecture. Clear? So as its name is accessory middle meningeal, so here is the word is what? Accessory. Clear? So it supplies to the meninges and more in this infra. Here see this accessory middle meningeal supplies to the meninges as well as more to the this pterygoid. Clear? So this is main distribution is extracranial. Now further we see this all we are talking about the first part. See, I have marked here, this is with a black color. See, this is a black color. From here to here, this is the first part. I am talking regarding the first part. So further, this artery gives another branch which moves downward and from this and enter into the mandibular foramen. Clear? And in the end, it enter into the mandibular foramen. This artery is inferior alveolar artery. Clear? So this inferior alveolar artery and this artery, inferior alveolar artery passes inside in deep of the mandible, and further it gets branched to mylohyoid artery which supply to mylohyoid muscle, and this inferior alveolar artery, the deeper one which is running in this mandible, it supplies to the lower teeth, all this lower teeth, this molar, premolar, all this, canine, lateral incisor, central incisor, all this. So, and exit as a mental artery from the mental foramen. Clear? This about the first part. Now the second part. Now further this artery is moving forward and upward, now giving a branch, muscular branches. So the muscular branches, one is the masseteric artery which supply masseter, then deep temporal arteries which will supply to the temporalis. Then we can see here the next branch is, this is the next branch here, you can just see this is the next branch. This one, this is pterygoid. This one is the pterygoid. So it is supplying to this one is supplying to medial and lateral pterygoid muscle. Whereas this one is the buccal artery which is supplying to the skin of cheek and to the muscle buccinator muscle. Buccal artery. Then the artery further moves ahead, and this about the second part. Now we begin the third part of maxillary artery. The first branch of third part of maxillary artery is posterior superior alveolar artery. So this is the posterior. So posterior superior alveolar artery is the first branch. See, and this branch, it passes from the maxillary alveolar canal. I have shown you the maxillary alveolar canal in the beginning of this lecture. So this passes from this and supplies to the upper molars and premolar and gums, as well as maxillary sinus. Then second part of this is infraorbital. See, is the infraorbital artery. This is the infraorbital artery, is the second branch, and this passes from the foramen infraorbital foramen. This passes from the infraorbital fissure. Actually, this passes from the infraorbital fissure and exits from the infraorbital foramen. So, I'm giving a branch which is anterior superior alveolar artery. So this is the second branch, is the infraorbital artery, and this supplies the lower orbital muscle, lacrimal sac, maxillary sinus, upper incisor and canine. Now then, here we see this is the third part. This is the third, greater palatine artery. This greater palatine artery. So it passes from greater palatine canal and supplies to the soft palate, tonsil, palatine gland and the mucosa of upper gums. Now next branch is the pharyngeal artery. This pharyngeal artery passes from this pharyngeal artery. You can see this is the pharyngeal artery. This pharyngeal artery passes from the pharyngeal canal. Pharyngeal canal is also known as palatovaginal canal. This pharyngeal artery from the pharyngeal canal and supplies to the roof of nose, pharynx, auditory tube and sphenoidal sinus. Then next branch just adjacent to it is the artery or pterygoid canal. This artery passes from the pterygoid canal and supplies to the auditory tube, upper pharynx, this artery of pterygoid canal, auditory tubes, upper pharynx and middle ear. Then the last artery, rather to say this is not a branch, this is the continuation of that maxillary artery. Now this maxillary artery had to terminate. Clear? So this is not a branch, this is the termination point of this maxillary artery, the one which was continuing ahead. So this is known as sphenopalatine artery, and it has to pass from a foramen. The foramen is sphenopalatine foramen. I've shown you this foramen, and it supplies to the lateral and the medial wall of nose and various air sinuses. Now we will see each artery of the third part in detail. So this image is only to show you how, see, this is the third part. After this third part, we see the branches, different branches, and how the different branches are running, just to show you its course and the relation. See, you can see this is superior alveolar. Okay, here is the superior alveolar, posterior superior alveolar, which is the first branch. Now then further other branches you can see this deep temporal branch, then pharyngeal artery, then artery of pterygoid canal, then sphenopalatine. Clear? Now we will see each artery one by one in detail. First is the posterior superior alveolar artery and infraorbital artery. See this black mark. See this way I am focusing the pointer of the mouse. This I am indicating the pterygomaxillary fissure. So this maxillary artery, before reaching to this pterygomaxillary fissure, it divides. Clear? So it divides in one branch. This branch, which is known as this branch which is moving downward. See this branch which is moving downward, and one branch is this. So these two branch, one is posterior superior angular artery, and one branch is this is infraorbital artery. So this maxillary artery divide in these two branch. So this they divide before reaching to the pterygomaxillary fissure, and the one which I'm talking about, this posterior superior angular artery, it move how? It moved downward. See, it moved downward and pierces the from this foramen, which is alveolar, maxillary alveolar canal. This maxillary alveolar foramen here. From here, it enters in the maxilla. See, and this is the sinus. This area is the sinus. Clear? And this artery keep on giving the branches different and supplying to the upper molar. See the molars, third molar, second molar, first molar, as well as premolar, and giving one branch. See, this is middle superior alveolar artery. This is middle superior alveolar artery, and further it is continuing ahead. Now this is the posterior superior alveolar artery, whereas this infraorbital artery from, see here is the fissure, infraorbital fissure. From this infraorbital fissure it enters, and now in this over the floor of this orbit. So it runs over the floor of the orbit, and this infraorbital artery further moves ahead. You can see further moving ahead and giving a branch which is known as anterior superior alveolar artery for the canine, lateral incisor and central incisor. See, now further this infraorbital continue ahead and exit from the infraorbital foramen. See, now when it exits from this infraorbital foramen, and then it giving the branches for the lower orbital muscle, lacrimal sac, see, for the nose and upper lip. Clear? So remember, only these two arteries of the third part, posterior superior alveolar artery, infraorbital arteries, are the only artery. They are formed before this pterygopalatine fossa. Now greater palatine artery. This greater palatine artery, you can see here. See, this is the greater palatine artery. See, this is the greater palatine. This one is greater palatine artery. Now this greater palatine artery, it passes from the greater palatine canal, and in a short course of run in the greater palatine canal, it gives a branches, two branches, one which passes from the greater palatine foramen is the greater palatine artery, and other which passes from the lesser palatine foramen is lesser palatine artery. So this greater palatine artery is to supply the mucosa over this hard palate as well as over for the gum, and this is for the upper jaw. Clear? Similarly, this lesser palatine artery is for the soft palate and the tonsil. Clear? Next is pharyngeal artery and artery of pterygoid canal. See, I have shown you the two foramen. One was the, I've shown you this pharyngeal one. I've shown you one this artery of the pterygoid canal, and I've shown you this pharyngeal or palatovaginal canal. So this pharyngeal artery and the artery of pterygoid canal, we can see here, they run backward. See, they run backward. You can see they run backward, and how they are running, you can see. So this is the pharyngeal artery, and this one is the artery of pterygoid canal. Clear? So this pharyngeal artery passes from the pharyngeal canal or palatovaginal canal to supply the roof of nose, pharynx, auditory tubes, and sphenoidal sinus. Whereas the artery of pterygoid canal, you can see this artery of the pterygoid canal, and they are both are very close to each other, and this supplies to the pharynx and auditory tube. This image is only to show you the interior of this section. This is a serratus section to show you this canal, pterygoid canal. Clear? So next and the last branch of this artery, not to say the branch, actually this is the last continuation of this maxillary artery, is the sphenopalatine artery. This sphenopalatine artery passes from the sphenopalatine foramen and enter in the nasal cavity. We can see here it enter in the nasal cavity on its posterior part, and it gives a branch, two branch. One is the posterior lateral nasal. So this one is a posterior lateral nasal. So as the name indicates, lateral nasal, so it will supply to the lateral nasal wall. Whereas another is the septal. Next branch is the septal. Clear? And we can see this branch, which is here, this posterior lateral nasal. It is continuing ahead, and we will talk about this one in the clinical anatomy. Now you have already seen this image in the cranial cavity. So this middle meningeal artery, see, this is the middle meningeal artery, which is a branch of first part. So in case of road traffic accident, when see this artery is running here, so this temporal bone, when get fractured, it ruptures this artery, it causes the epidural hematoma. So the collection of the arterial blood take place, and it's a medical emergency. This epidural hematoma. Now another clinical anatomy is dental anesthesia. So you have seen the maxillary artery, especially in the third part. You have seen how all the branches. See, when any surgeon is giving anesthesia, then this anesthesia is for the infraorbital nerve block. This is infraorbital nerve block. So you have to take the needle. This is the shaft of the needle, and the point, this point, which is piercing the soft tissue, is the bevel of the needle. So you have to insert this bevel of the needle and this shaft deep to this, and till it reaches near to the infraorbital foramen, and there you have to deposit the lignocaine, which is having a composition of lidocaine with this adrenaline. So at that time when you are injecting and giving the anesthesia, you have to aspirate the needle. Okay, you have to take aspirate the needle. You have to take the plunger back to check out whether this needle is in that particular artery. If it is in the particular artery, and that time when you will deposit this anesthesia, this anesthetic agent, then it will cause the toxicity, and it's a medical emergency condition. So the landmark of the infraorbital foramen is to be very much clear. Then similarly here, this dental anesthesia for the greater palatine nerve. Here is the foramen, greater palatine foramen. There you have to inject the needle and to deposit the this local anesthetic, lignocaine. And similarly, you have to aspirate. You have to take the plunger back to see whether this needle is in the particular artery. If it is in the artery, then you have to take the needle back, then and again inject just to side of that artery. Epistaxis, nose bleeding. So here we see this is Castle-Black plexus. So this point is present at the anterior nasal septum, and this point is formed by the anastomosis of the five different arteries. First is the anterior ethmoidal artery, then posterior ethmoidal artery, sphenopalatine artery, superior linear artery, and greater palatine artery. The artery anastomote at this point, and this is common site for nasal bleeding. So this how we finishes the complete lecture over a third part of maxillary artery. I hope you understood well. If you understood well, do like this video and comment regarding your doubt or what you feel good. Thank you very much.